today is being a dancer even when you're not dancing. And we have three fantastic artists here to talk to you. So I'm going to let them introduce themselves. We have Camille Stopps, Molly Johnson, and Pham. So I'll let them take it away.
Hi, I'm Camille Stopps. I'm a Ryerson dance grad from 3 years ago, so go Ryerson. Yeah, so I feel like I'm the freshest out of school, out of us, so yeah, I have that perspective on it, because I'm still very much in development and constantly working and kind of narrowing in my focus to see where I end up. A little brief background would be that I guess after Ryerson, I actually got pretty heavy into film and television work and acting, and it's been interesting to see how dance feeds into that. Yeah.
I'm Molly, and I'm originally from Cape Breton Island in Nova Scotia. Yeah, and I went to the school of TDT, and I graduated in 2004, so a long time ago. And I work as a freelance dance artist and performer in Toronto and in Montreal, and I've been freelancing since I got out of school. Yeah.
Hi. How's everybody doing? You guys are all dancers, right? So this must be torture for you to sit here and not be moving, stretching, or doing something fantastic.
Or it's amazing.
My name is Pham. I'm a b-boy, so I'm from a crew called the Supernaturals Dance Crew. I've been around the world dancing. I also danced with the Chimera Project here in Toronto, and I've been out of school for a while, but I went through a different route than you guys. I wasn't trained as a dancer. Just come from a street style, I trained on the streets. I know it sounds lame, but that's how it works.
God, I was looking through my emails from 2011 when I graduated, and I was thinking, what did I do? Because I was having trouble remembering what that year was. I remember a lot of the feelings of that year and coming out of school, and I felt like it was kind of like my schedule in life got kind of pulled out from underneath me, because for the last 4 years I'd been in this program that was really nurturing, and you had this constant schedule, and you kind of, you know, show up to class every day and everything was there for you, and you're you know, motivated to learn in that school environment where you're getting graded and you're getting results and kind of recognition and validation from a body that's outside of yourself. So I think a lot of that first year was trying to figure out the balance of why I do this for me and what dance was to me. And in that first year, I think I said yes to everything. Like, I was looking at my emails, and there's stuff from like fringe shows, there's like catering work, there's little like performance gigs through Soul Power and like entertainment dance at like bar mitzvahs and stuff like that. Like, it's across the board. And then there's also stuff in, you know, I signed with my acting agent that year and my modeling agency. And a lot of that work tied so perfectly into dance and performance work. And yeah, it was kind of, it was crazy to have all the structure in your life leave, and then to figure out how you're going to implement that yourself, because as dancers, obviously training is such an important thing, and if you're not going to class every day, and you're not training, you're not doing rehearsals, and you're constantly working on yourself to get better, then you're not really a dancer. So I think that was the biggest thing about that first year out, was trying to find balance and what I really wanted to do, and it was like the world opened up. Like, you came into school and you're kind of narrowing your focus, and you think, you know, in fourth year you're at a point where you've kind of honed in on some very specific things, and then you get the professional community and it like all opens up again. And then you have to look then, what am I really interested in doing? What do I want to say yes to? So that first year was saying yes to everything, and then being able to start narrowing down and saying no to things, and maybe not doing everything, but doing the things that I really wanted to do that would support where I want to be in 10 years, or what I want to be doing. Financial stress is another like huge thing out of school, because I had student loans, And then I wanted to take class, but then it was like, where do you get this money? And then I had to have a part-time job. And how does that all work? So that was the biggest transition of that first year out. Yeah.
Once you're out, you're in this world where you have to make money, you have responsibilities. So you just have to make sure to not forget why you chose dance as a career, right? You're here because you're an artist, because you want to create. There's nothing better that fulfills the soul than creating and dancing. So you always have to go back to that and always make time for that. And it should be the other way around. You should be dancing so much that you can only make time to pay off your bills. Like, it's the other way around, you know what I mean? So find that balance, strike it, and just go with it, because if you forget why you chose this career path, you're not going to get anywhere. You have to make sure to stay focused. And you come from a world where you're structured, so you're in school, you're told what to do, and you have to continue to do it as a routine, but when you're free to do whatever you want, right? And you have to create that structure for yourself. So strike that balance, find that structure for yourself, and be happy doing it, right? And the cool thing about what we all do in this room is that we're all artists, so we're in this position to find something that a lot of people can't achieve, which is, often when you're asked what you do for a living, people will be like, you know, I work here, and then you ask them, what makes you happy? And very rarely does it cross over. Very rarely people say, my job is what makes me happy. But everybody in this room is in position to do that. They're able to be like, my job is my happiness, right? My career is my happiness. And that's a really cool position, so don't forget that too, because there's nothing better than sustained happiness. That's what life's about, right? That's the pursuit of life. Like Gandhi said it, right? Everybody knows Gandhi. You have to believe what he says, right? Like it's just this thing where we have to realize that our passion and our work can be crossed over. And it's for you to strike that balance. Your first year out, you're going to get distracted because you're free. Don't get distracted so much that you lose focus of what you want to do.
And in your third year at TDT, you're there from 10 to 6 or 9 to 6, and then rehearsals in the evenings often. And I also had 3 part-time jobs while I was at TDT. I don't know how it happened, but I was so tired. So when I graduated, I was like, I need a break. And I stopped taking class immediately and just kind of like pushed pause on that. But I think that's really important if that's what you need. And some people like thrive on being in class. Like, you know, there were people who like graduated, but you know, had our graduation on Saturday night, and then Monday they were in class again. That wasn't me, but I think it's important to remember that we're all different and we all need different things. The problem though with pressing pause is that there's this like fear and anxiety that then comes from like re-entering. So you have to be really careful about that.
You also get really fat if you don't. I do. I don't really.
Again, like everybody's different. Everybody needs different things. But graduating, I didn't have any work when I graduated. And then within my first year out, I ended up with like 2 really great gigs, like big, cool gigs. But even those amazing jobs totaled, I think, 2 months. So it's challenging. I was like succeeding, you know? I was dancing for Julia Sasso, but I had to have a job for most of the year.
What was your job?
I was selling jewelry for Kenny Pearl. Yeah. And I was an usher and bartender at Harborfront Center. And then halfway through the year, after I finished my first really amazing job, I had to get a job at Whole Foods Market. Oh, good times.
It's okay.
I've never actually gone to a full class ever in my dance career, which is unique from everybody else in this room. And we train together, so we're community-based. So what I did in order to make it so that I can train and be paid to train was I opened up community sessions where anybody can come for free and dance. And these are city-run programs or they're privately funded, and they give people opportunity to just come dance. So as a facilitator, I'm there to teach and help, and I also teach throughout the week in order to make sure I'm still training. Now, there's a big difference between teaching and training for yourself, obviously, as I'm sure everybody knows, but it also kept me in the world of moving. It kept me fit so I didn't get fat, you know what I mean? So it made me, it was a way for me to make money and for me to continue to pursue what I wanted to do. And like these sessions and these opportunities are there. You just have to find them. And there's also free classes all the time. There's, if you want to take them. And and you can train for yourself. Like, who says that you have to be in a studio to dance? You could be in your living room, in your underwear. I don't do that, but you can. And that's okay. So you can train anywhere, anytime. You just have to make the time for yourself to do it.
Like feeling like you're constantly being an artist and being a dancer, and I think that can relate and kind of insert into a lot of side things that you do and different things you choose to do. I found like a lot of writing often tied into it, and like sometimes, you know, choreography was born out of writing something down, you know, and like continuing to like write and like using stream of consciousness and like thinking of where am I at that day. Like simple things like taking 15 minutes before bed to write some stuff down, just get some stuff out. It kind of kept my brain active, and it wasn't all just, you know, the body and like your physical expression in dance, but it's also how you're thinking about your life, and like if you're a dancer and, you know, making yourself a dancer and everything. And I think part of that too is like ownership over the fact that you are now professional dancers and you're in the professional community. And it took me a while to actually be able to stand behind that. That first year was huge in giving me the confidence to stand behind what I do and what I am. And I think, Lee, you said something about...
Yes, I did.
Yeah. about being an artist and not, you know, when people ask you, like, what do you do? Putting that first.
Yeah. And
like, I think that mentality is a huge thing. It's like mind over matter. Like, you could be not working on any dance gigs, but if you hold yourself as a certain thing and you hold yourself high enough and you value that above everything else, having that mentality on it is makes a huge difference to me anyways, and that's how I work. Yeah.
One other thing I want to mention too is like in the b-boy world, what we have are crews, right? They're like kind of like mini gangs, and we support each other, right? In good times and in bad. So I suggest creating your own crew, your own gang that kind of motivate each other, push each other, and be like, let's meet up once a week and just train for free together. Let's run old choreography, or we just do stretching for an hour. I don't know, like it's just a way to push each other. And if you do it alone, I've done it before too, where I'm alone, it's not as fun, right? And it's hard to stay motivated, so create a crew, create a gang, go out, make gangs, yes.
The amazing thing about leaving school is that you can do what you want to do. You can train the way you want to train. You don't have to do Graham anymore. Or you can like move to Guelph and marry David Earl and do Graham forever, if that's what you want to do. And yeah, you can work with the people you want to work with. You know, if you like hate half of your class, you don't have to work with them anymore. You can go find some new people to work with. So, I mean, personally, like the way I work now, if I'm working, I actually usually don't do class because I'm older and I get tired. But when I'm not working, that's when I like seek out like whatever workshops are happening, or like, you know, I went to Aquafit the other day. It was great. And yeah, it's all about your choice, but to like do what feeds you, you know? You also don't have to do tondus if you don't like tondus. There's so many options out there, and there's actually a really great range in Toronto. We're actually really lucky. We have like a huge cross-section of classes and training opportunities now. Do you know about all of them? There's the GMD Dance Collective. There's the Lovin' that offers like a wide range of stuff. You can take class with Toronto Dance Theatre. You can take class at Dance Makers. Series 808 offers workshops. There's all kinds of other alternative training that I don't do that maybe you guys know more about.
Like, has anybody ever taken a break dancing class? Oh yeah. Well, if you haven't, you can. But see, there's a difference, right? There's, like I was saying, there's a classroom environment, and then there's being immersed in the community, right? So there's like hip-hop classes, there's b-boy classes, there's house classes, there's walking, popping classes. That's a classroom environment. I suggest you go out and party. Grab your gang, go to a party, and that's where you really learn how to dance the street styles, right? So, and like I said, I run those community sessions, so if anybody ever wants to train in that kind of environment, you're welcome to come to that too. So there's different environments, and again, you can choose where you want to go. It's your opportunity to diversify now, right? So enjoy it.
Meeting all those people and getting kind of tastes of different things. Like, I did a show that was for the Fringe my first year out, and that was dance theater, and it was a lot of acting and dance, and kind of meeting that world and the people I worked with on that, and the different interests they had, and who I liked to work with. And it was like trying out different things, like trying working with different people, and then you kind of like, it organically kind of forms like a little community of its own and like your specific circle. Because if you try all sorts of different things and you really get to know what you like and who you like working with, often those jobs come up again. Because if you work with somebody and they like working with you and you like working with them, you want to work together again because you have an understanding kind of between you. So I think a lot of those relationships kind of over time and over just putting yourself out there and saying, yeah, okay, I want to try that, I'll do that. I think you end up forming your own kind of group of people. A big part too, this may be a little side tangent, but was finding, I found a couple people that really mentored me a bit through my years off, and still do. And I mean, Kenny Pearl was one of those people that I would sit and go have lunch with, and kind of, it was a really nice guiding force of like, where are you at, and like how are things going, and what do you want to be doing? And then in terms of when I got into acting and film and TV, I kind of found somebody just like that. And those people have been invaluable in terms of kind of keeping me in a track that I want to be on, and working with the people that I want to work with. And self-creating, like, work, because when everybody's part of something and everyone's invested in it, you all have ownership over the work that you're producing and you all care about it. And that was a big part. That's who I like to work with. Like, that's the kind of work I like to do. And like, maybe, some of you want to go out and get an entertainment dance agent and be doing more work in music videos or musical theater dance stuff, and that's that avenue. I don't know.
It's like one common thing you can talk about with anybody in the professional dance world is dance. You have a common interest, so you can sit with them and talk dance for hours. And even better, which everybody loves to do, is complain about dance. And you can go on for hours. So like, as long as you're genuine about your approach, you're not trying to siphon off work, or you're just meeting somebody to, get a gig, like that's really whack. Like, you're not going to get anywhere. People are going to see right through that because you're fake. But if you're there because you genuinely appreciate their work, or you're there because you think that, one day you would love to dance for that company, or whatnot, they're going to see that, and they're going to see you as a real person. So as long as you're real and you continue to network, you're already going to be in this professional. Being in this room right now, you're joining the professional dance world, right? And you guys have a world to learn, but a world of people to meet. And if you're true to yourself, people will love you for who you are. You know what I mean? I know it's so cheesy. I'm sorry, but you know what I mean? Like, just be real, and then the work will come, the people will come. And like you were saying about the other side of the professional dance world, not just performing arts, but going to commercial gigs and going into like auditions for entertainment work and stuff like that, it's a different world as well. It's a different network of people you meet with. And in my opinion, I think there's a lot of difficulty with that side too, because they don't understand what we do as much. So they're going to be asking you to do big tricks, or like for us, as a b-boy, like they always ask, like, can you spin on your head and do backflips in succession? And I'm like, I'm a dancer, like I don't just do only that. So there's a difficulty there too, but be prepared for that. But it's the same deal. You have to be genuine and be nice, because it's just because they don't get it, it doesn't mean they're wrong, right? They're just asking what they know. They're asking for the flashy movements. And you'd be nice about it, you let them know that you want to work with them, and same thing will happen. You will spread on that side of the world too. And you just become that virus that spreads all through the networks, and people will hear your name. Like, even us being here is because we've done something, we've met somebody, and we're genuine about it. They're like, you know, they'll come here and it'll be great because they can speak. I've had huge opportunities, and I'm surprised I got them. Things like, I sat on the door jury with Molly here, and we got to see a bunch of shows, and we got to come to this award ceremony, which is awesome. And I've sat on other panels, I've sat on councils, and it's because I want to be there. I want to give back to the community, and people recognize that. So do the same. Be genuine. Don't be fake. Don't be fake.
Yeah, I think that I was thinking that a lot of people that I've met, or the way that my community has expanded, has been through working with people. But I think before that, I used to volunteer a lot. I know that sounds super lame, but actually volunteering and, you know, like ushering for a show, or I don't know, I volunteered for Dusk Dances when I was in school, which then led to a job organizing the volunteers for Dusk Dances, which led to a job working for the producer of Dusk Dances, which meant when the artistic director was hiring for Dusk Dances, I wasn't the obvious choice, but I was like in her line of view. And then I was perfect for the job, so then I got it. And then I did that for the last 7 years. So, putting yourself out there, being involved, working in areas in and around. I mean, if you have to make money, you might as well make money doing something in and around the art form that you're pursuing, because you will make contacts. And you have to keep defining yourself as a dancer so you don't become seen as an administrator or a dog walker or a babysitter, but you can meet people that way by being in their line of view and expanding through that.
That's a huge point. You have to be in the industry. You have to always be present. And you have to shake hands with people, otherwise they won't know who you are. They're going to be like, who's that person trying to get work with me? But if they see you volunteering here, doing all that, then they're going to have more reason to hire you. That's huge. I think it's self-defined. So you're right, you probably will say yes to a lot of things because it gives you opportunity, they give you reasons to do it. Like, you'll meet somebody, they'll say, or, you know, here's $100 and here's a little bit of money, they'll pay your utility bill or whatever. But as an artist, you have to define what work means something to you. You know what I mean? Like, I've been guilty of dancing in a bear suit. And I don't like doing that, right? But it paid the bill, right? So I mean, you have to kind of self-define it, and there's going to be times where you're going to be a starving artist, and you're going to be so hungry that you have to eat, right? And I think when you start creating work that fulfills your soul, you're going to feel how much better that is, and you're willing to start. You know what I mean? So if you choreograph or you're dancing with a company that you love, you'll say yes to them all the time. And you'll be so busy saying yes to them that you won't be able to say yes to things that don't mean anything to you.
I think it's just a delicate balance of, you know, financial viability to saying no to things. But personally, like, I feel lucky that everything I'm doing right now is what I want to be doing. And if I've had any experiences in the past that didn't make me happy, if they came up again, I didn't do them again. You know, there are people who continue to work with people who don't make them happy, and I don't think that's the best way to go, even if it means you have to work at Whole Foods or, you know, take on a serving job instead of saying yes to every single dance job. But the point is to do work that you want to do, and I think sometimes that gets lost in our profession because it's so challenging, and we want to say yes to things, and we want to be busy and important and successful, but the point is to be inspired by what you're doing. So you kind of just have to feel it out. But also if you put like good vibes and good energy and ask for the best for yourself, it's more likely to come than if you just say yes to everything. But it's a process.
Yeah, I think saying no and really starting to kind of carve out the path that you want to be on, I think it is a really delicate balance. I'm still figuring that out. Like, I said yes, I was broke and I needed rent, and I said yes to a film commercial gig that it was soul crushing. It was like such a terrible experience. I'm not going to say what it was.
Were you in a bear suit too?
Kind of. Like the metaphor would be I was in a bear suit dancing. Yeah, and but it was a means to an end, and I knew that taking that job that paid me enough to pay my rent and take care of my food for the next month, it was one day of my life, and it wasn't the happiest day, but doing that let me then put my energy and the rest of my time and focus into the things I did want to do, and maybe I wasn't getting paid as much for, but that were fulfilling and that really, that are, work that I want to stand behind and that I want to invite my friends out to. So, yeah.
The other thing too, Will, is time commitment, right? So like, if there's a project that invests a lot of time that you don't like, then it's easier to say no to it. Because if you're taking a gig that you don't like and you have to spend weeks training for it, you're going to lose other opportunities, you know what I mean? So it's again, that balance thing, but that's a good way to gauge it as well. Like what kind of opportunities it's going to get you, and if it's worth your time investment, even if you're not being paid.
This perception that you need to always be promoting, like you need to always be doing something that makes you a dancer for everyone to think of you as a dancer. And people drop off like flies because of this. But the thing we need to recognize is that I want to say like 95% of the dancing people in the community are doing something else. And maybe that's teaching, or maybe it's choreographing, but they're doing something else. So I know very few people who are just dancing in Toronto. And you just need to know it for yourself. I mean, you need to go to class, or you need to find performance opportunities to continue, being a dancer and to increase your visibility in that way. But you also just have to this is, I know people who have stopped going to class and stopped going to shows because they don't want to answer the dreaded question, which is, what are you doing? What are you up to right now? Everybody hates this question. And people ask you that question so that you won't ask them that question. Like, nobody wants to answer it. It's the worst. And even when you're like, I'm really busy right now, and somebody asked me this question the other day, and I hate it because then it's like I'm listing my resume, which is also stupid. So, but it actually defeats people. So don't be defeated by this, because nobody's doing anything anyways, and nobody gets a rat's ass if you're doing anything, It's just you. It's just you. You just have to believe. And dance, also. You have to dance to be a dancer.
I think a good way of, I think it's so true, is you have to know for yourself that you are a dancer, and this is what you do, and this is what you want to do, and that you have so much to offer. But I think a big part is staying in class, and because, gosh, I see people on a regular basis that I don't even know, but they're in the dance community, and I feel like I know them, even though we've never actually met, but it's because we've been in class together, and then you run into them, and they maybe come into the Starbucks you're working at, and they know you're a dancer first, because you've been in class, and you're in the community, and you go to shows, and you support other people within the community. I think it's just trying to stay as in it as possible, and as finances allow, because that's the biggest thing that I've struggled with, is how do I make sure I have all my bills paid, but also go to class? And how does the time work? And so I think staying active, is the biggest part of holding that image first.
Because I have friends who have gotten into this rut where they're just doing teaching all the time because they make enough money, and they're like, yeah, I'm still dancing. But I'm like, dude, you're not dancing. You're teaching children how to dance, and that's it. you know, and they actually start hating dancing and resenting dancing for a while because they're mixing their job with something that they loved to do before, and now they don't like it anymore. So just be careful. I think 2 projects a year is enough. Like, as a producer now, I do commercial work, I produce commercial work, and I only do work if there's some kind of storytelling in it. Otherwise, I won't want to do it. I'll actually say no. I'm at this point where I don't want to do things all the time that they hurt me, you know? So if you do the same, if you try to find a way to do things that make you happy, then other people will know, and they'll recognize that, and they'll be identified as a dancer or an artist. So that's good to go.
And you might need to make those things happen for yourself. Like, I had a friend recently who went to class, and then she went out for coffee, and then she got really demoralized because all the people she was having coffee with were going off to a rehearsal. And I pointed out to her that very likely most of those people were going to a rehearsal that they were facilitating themselves for a project that they were making happen themselves. So exactly, like, you need to do something and you might need to make it happen yourself, and that's just as valid, and that's what it is. You don't have to be hired by people to be dancing or to be a dancer.
Or maybe somebody in your gang will have an opportunity you guys can all do together, right? You can apply for the Fringe, for example. You can always do a show with the Fringe and get picked for it, right? So there's opportunities there. They might not all be paid, but at least they're fulfilling for the soul. That's more important.
I think one more thing that you said, the "what are you doing" question. That was huge for me, and I'm still like struggle with it, even when I'm doing a lot of things. Someone asked me that, and I'm like, I have nothing. I don't know. Like, what am I doing? And like, that's what's going on inside my brain. Is like, what are you doing? What are you actually doing? And I think of one of my mentors, and I had a big talk about this, and it was like, how do you handle that question? How do you handle those questions that you get that end up kind of throwing you off your center and making you feel like you're not valid or you aren't what you really are? And I think like it's thinking about what kind of answer you want to give back in terms of what are you doing. Like, it could be as simple as saying like, I'm really good, and then picking one thing that you are loving that you're doing in your life, like, God, I've been going to yoga every morning for the last week. It's great. And then stopping talking and just stop. Don't say anything else. Like, and it's like keeping, you know, any of those private, like, I think as Canadians, like, we feel like we have to be so honest about everything, or I do. And someone asked me how I'm doing, and I'm like, oh, you know, like, my day, like, it's just the most worst day ever. Like, that's not what they're really asking. It's really like, it's, hey, hello, is all they're really saying with, what are you doing? You know, it's conversation filler. So it's like, it's important to remember that you just have to stop talking at a certain point. And it's like, if you give an answer that you feel good about, that you stand behind, and then you just stop. And then you move on to a different thing that maybe has nothing to do with the professional side if that's not what you want to talk about. Yeah. It's like being able to have conviction in yourself and like constantly keeping that. Yeah, so that question. That's what I would do, is I'd think of a stock answer even you can give to people if you're going to shows. And it's been really helpful. Ask me what I'm doing. Those things are important, and like I think it's like hard to do it, but I think you need to kind of put that as a priority. Like, it's got to be a priority, like keeping yourself in shape. And yeah, it's like the same as you have to pay your phone bill. It's like giving it the same amount of weight. So putting it into your budget, your monthly budget, to say, hey, I have to make, you know, put $20 a week aside so that in 3 months I can go to the dentist and get whatever fixed up. But there's also, like, if you end up joining like ACTRA or Equity, like when you are on shows, it's nice because they have, you know, insurance plans that are associated with that. So you actually can go to the massage therapist for X amount of dollars a year if you're working a show, or like up to, you know, 3 months after or before when you're in rehearsals. So like those things, if they're there, when they're there, they're great. But yeah.
Maybe you can start your own dance company and then pay your own benefits through that.
Or like marry somebody that has.
Yeah. I go to this dentist that I found out about through Tita the Dente, the accompanist, and they give cheap rates to dancers. So that's what I do, and I have so many cavities, so I've had to spend so much money on it. And it happens, you know. But it's like the most realistic question. It's like, it's pretty big. And I quit my job at Whole Foods Market 3 or 4 years ago now. And I've just been dancing, but I do scheduling, or I do booking for Dover Courthouse Dance Studio. And sometimes I just have to like pull money out of the air, like work little things here and there just to make it happen when there are the downtimes. So yeah, you need to maybe find something. You need to find those things that you can do really easily. Like I can do that from home, I can do that from wherever. I'm on tour in Europe and I'm, you know, just doing the scheduling, and it's like a little bit of extra money that helps me go to the dentist or whatever. Or you get your tax refund back and then you can go to the eye doctor.
You can also increase your frequency of teeth brushing.
Some people have soft enamel and they can't help it.
Is it worth the time investment, and it is going to lead to other opportunities? So the first two questions I ask myself when taking any gig, actually, even if it's paid well. And if it's, more importantly, fulfilling to the soul. So those three things are what I always ask on any opportunity.
And are you being taken advantage of, or is it like, these are the circumstances and you're on board with it and you feel good about it, and you can usually feel that out for yourself? And talk to your friend, like talk to your peers, and you know, get their sense about what would they do.
I ask myself what I'm going to feel like going to that rehearsal or showing up on the day to perform. I ask, how am I going to feel about it? Because if I can't show up with a positive attitude, willing to put the energy into it, it's not worth doing, period. I'd rather not eat, you know, because it's not good to, you know, I think whatever opportunity you're taking, you need to be showing up and doing it fully and representing yourself and who you are and what you're like to work with.
For me, the dance umbrella of Ontario was really beneficial. I started my own dance company too, and they were the ones who really brought me into the world. So they were the gateway into meeting thousands of people. So look up Dance Umbrella of Ontario. They're fantastic. Yay, Jennifer Bennett.
I think CADA is really great. Because if your main focus in being a dancer at this point is going to be training, it just makes sense because you pay, I can't even remember what the emerging artist fee is, but it's not very high, and you get $300 back against whatever, $325 now I think, against whatever you spent in training. So it's a really encouraging, you know, way of continuing to train.
I don't know if this is my greatest resource, but it was a good one. I got injured and I needed to go to physiotherapy, but I ended up finding this clinic on Sherbourne Street, and it's like a Sherbourne Medical Center, where I found a chiropractor that was training still, so the rates were so much cheaper, but I could go in there and she'd do active release work on me and acupuncture and stuff, all for a really, really amazing price, and it made that possible. So like those things they're totally in Toronto. It's just hard to find them sometimes. But that was a really good resource for me when I got hurt. Yeah.
I guess the other really important resource is the people that you meet and the contacts that you make, because people that I worked with in school have now hired me, you know, way down the road, and the friends that I've made have hired me, and you know, those people are always there to give you advice. People that I have met and worked with have helped me with grants, or you know, working in an arts administrative office has helped me learn how to write grants and then get money so I can keep working. So all of those skills and the people that you bring into your community like really are a resource within themselves.
Yeah, the community is really tight. Everybody knows everybody or has seen people, like you've seen them perform or seen them somewhere. So whoever you meet, make sure you're genuine and impressive. Otherwise, you create a bad name for yourself. Nobody will want to work with you.
Don't be a dick. I work with a company in Montreal, and I toured with them in Europe, and we just went to China in November. And I just wrote a piece on it for the Dance Current, which just went online yesterday, so you could check that out and read it. But it's working in Toronto. It's hard to find those opportunities within the contemporary dance field. So you need to make really good choices when you vote for your politicians. You need to think about who supports arts policy and arts funding, because that affects those opportunities.
As a b-boy, I've been fortunate enough to be part of a well-known crew, so I've traveled all over the US and all over Asia dancing and judging, but it's been two spectrums. So like there's been times where we pay our own bill and we're like literally, you know, scrounging up money in order to rent a car and drive out there so we can, you know, be part of this competition or part of this performance. And then there's times where they pay a round trip flight and put you into a 5-star hotel. So it's like the range is one end to the other. So be prepared that one week you might be sleeping on the floor and the next week you might be sleeping in a big bed. Hopefully not alone. And as a contemporary dancer, I've been fortunate enough to travel and tour Mexico, which was, again, a fun experience. But there were small cities that were like some of the worst motels, not even hotels I've been into in my life. And then, you know, some cities where we're so welcome, it feels great. So it's a range. Just be prepared to know that it's different everywhere you go. But in the end, just perform your craft and love doing it, and then people will appreciate it.
I haven't actually traveled with dance. I've said no to the opportunities that I have had because they weren't, although the travel and getting to a new place would have been really exciting, and it would have been cool to get to see Dubai or you know, different places in the world, but they weren't things that I wanted to do. It wasn't stuff that I wanted to focus on right now. So, and the amount of time that I would have had to put into that would have been taken away from what I do want to do. So that was just coming down to a personal choice on what I wanted to do and where I want to be in 5 years.
Yeah,
and that didn't fit into it, although the travel would have been cool. So like,
yeah, traveling does take more time, and it does often you lose opportunities because you're out on tour or whatnot. So be willing to do that. Sometimes it's cool too because you get to see a city that you've never been to, which is a lot of fun, and that alone is a benefit, right? So talking about benefits, you might not get dental, but sometimes you get traveling opportunities to check out cities on somebody else's field, which is awesome.
I think it depends on what kind of work you want to do, and if you want commercial work, it's a good thing, I think, to go with an agency and to be really clear about your contract in terms of what you pay them commission for. You know, the jobs that they're actually getting you. And, you know, often that's in film and television work or music videos or musical theater stuff where you're showing up and dancing. And I think it's valuable if those are areas you want to work in. Those agents have the contacts to get you in certain rooms that you wouldn't necessarily get in on your own. You might. So they're a good transition bridge into those worlds. Absolutely. And then like outside of that, if you're interested in something else, like in film and TV work, my agent for that is invaluable because those are, you know, I do auditions that I would never get to do on my own, and if that's what I want to do, then you need that person. And they're like a stepping stone in order to get where you want to be. Yeah. Yeah,
when you're fishing for an agent too, don't forget that it's a relationship with the agent as well. So whether or not it's the kind of work you're looking for, you have to like the agent somewhat. You know what I mean? You have to have this kind of relationship with them. When I was fishing for an agent, because I was transitioning into acting as well, it was totally different because I was already getting so much dance opportunities that my agent wanted to take over that side too. And I'm like, I already get these dance opportunities, I'm not looking for a dance agent, I'm just looking for an acting agent. There was a conflict, so I ended up not doing it, but you kind of have to have that conversation, and that's really important to keep in mind. Yeah, the person is so crucial. Like, when I was finding my acting agent,
you know, you get approached by these, I did Theatre Ontario with my acting class that graduated in the 4th year, and you get approached by these big agencies that have these big names, but it's like, and that's exciting, and like that they want to represent you is really exciting, but you have to really be able to kind of be excited about it and then be logical about it and think, did I work well with them? Do they understand who I am and what I want out of this relationship? That was really important. So I ended up going with a smaller agency that, you know, it's not a huge name. It's still in the top, you know, 15 in Toronto, but it's the woman that I work with is just amazing, and we get along, and she gets me, and she's going to do the work for me that I need. So, yeah. I'll talk about my acting mentor. And I think this relates because, I mean, the theme being, you know, being a dancer even when you're not dancing. And I find a lot of my dance training and that dancing is the core of who I am. And so that translates into the film and TV work that I end up doing. Not in a literal sense, not in actually dancing on camera all the time, but in terms of the artistry and the craft of it. And so the mentor I worked with was John Boylan. And we kind of set up a formal relationship. He was somebody that I ended up talking to a lot anyways, and then we decided to make it formal and kind of, we meet once a month, and we have coffee, and we sit there and we talk about what's going on in the work. And it's kind of a nice thing to keep the work and kind of clocking where I'm at with different things. And his experience and wisdom, he's got so much to offer in terms of not telling me what to do, but somebody that's been through so much. So things that I'm going through, I can talk to him about. You know, whether it's like going into an audition and feeling like you're so prepared ahead of time and then not, and then coming out and feeling terrible about it. You know, it could be, it's anything. And I think it's been invaluable in terms of keeping me kind of grounded and like being able to stand behind the work I do and like where I'm at and being okay with knowing that there's a learning curve and like this is where I'm at right now. And then, you know, I've worked with him for 3 years now, and you know, I would have started about here. I was kind of shaky and unsure of what was going on, and through our work together I've kind of realized where I'm at now, which is somewhere totally different. It's on a different place and not dropping the bar, I guess. It just keeps you growing and like learning, and I don't know, it's provided a lot of motivation. Yeah.
I never really sought out a mentor, but I guess over the last like 5-6 years, that person has become Nova Bhattacharya. Because we were roommates on tour, on a Dust Dances tour, and I just learned a lot from her, like how to bring your entire kitchen on tour, and you know what we should and shouldn't expect in a working environment. And you know, I went through a bad breakup a couple of years ago, and she had invaluable advice for that. And if I'm writing a grant, I can, you know, send her a question and she'll get back to me like with the smartest answer. And she's just helped me along in those ways, and I work with her now too, or work for her now. Yeah, and it's just amazing to have somebody who like, yeah, you can just go to with any of those questions, or you can think of and be like, what would this person do in this situation? And she's smart, and she's doing it, so I like her being my mentor. I call her Yoda.
My mentor is a B-boy, is my crew. So again, as a community-based, we mentor each other. We've been dancing together forever, so we help each other. As a professional dancer, my mentors were, I guess, the Dance Umbrella of Ontario. They were like the pillar of understanding the professional dance world. And my mentor for life is my mom.
Such a great note to end on.